spanning this season from March all the way through until December the 3rd, where we will have the final race of the season under the lights of Abu Dhabi. But until we get to that point, we have all of the rounds set for these drivers, and 21 of them ready to take part, and 20,000 raging stallions under the rear of these Formula 1 cars. And we are going to get ready then for the first round of this URC season. And joining me in the commentary box this season is Ollie, or Chuk as you probably best know him. How are we doing, Chuk? It's been a while, but are you looking forward to this URC season?
Yeah, hi James. Yeah, very much looking forward to this season 4 of URC. It's going to be another fantastic plather of superb drivers turning up for Australia. Like I said, it's going to be a long old season spanning 2 different games this season, which is going to throw up a huge curveball for these drivers as the season progresses. But tonight, of course, Australia is going to be another Grand Prix in this fantastic series.
Absolutely, and whilst we did in Tier 2, we'll do the same for Tier 1. Let's take you through the drivers and teams, and also the teams and leagues and teams, and which cars they're in going into the season. So ILR Black are in the McLaren, and they have Tyrrell Lewis and OG Joe. ILR Gold, they're in the Mercedes with Veloce Surprise, and it is tonight CRG Simon. ERL Gold are in the Renault. Tonight they don't have their favoured man is Nazim. Instead they have ERL Miro, Rolls-Royce for Renault, with Pinecone and Leopard. And Leopard, of course, wrapping up the World Championship yesterday and in some fantastic style. VSR Red are in the Haas with Drelix and Sierra. I've got Drelix today, unfortunately. It's infamous in for Drelix today, but it would be Drelix otherwise. War and LCRB, I should just Red Bull with RT Hamilton, or what is now CRGA Holland, and CRGA also. They are in LCRB. VSR Black are in the Toro Rosso, Cyril Rosberg, and VSR Verstappen. TSRL in the Sauber with KJ Gamer, and Zelchi RFL are in the league as well in the Pink Panther, and they've got Danny F31 and Flying Rosie. And we have Fury Online Racing as well in the Williams today. They are in with Tom and Tom Ambassadors. With that list of drivers that was listed off there, Ollie, what are our thoughts? What are we thinking? Who do we think is going to stand out above the crowd?
I think it's difficult not to pick out the guys racing for ILR. You've got Surprise, Simon, Joe and Limitless, some of the top guys in the world of Xbox League racing, but we can't count out the likes of Leopard, of course, like you said, James, who won the War title last night. Morso's there, Holland's there. There's a fantastic lineup tonight, and it's probably one of the closest grids we've seen in a while in this division. We have seen in the past where you have some great drivers who should be in Tier 1 but bumped down because they're too competitive in their own leagues. So. But this time around, I think we've got a pretty level field, and it's going to be another good one. There's plenty of dark horses in the field today as well.
Oh, absolutely there is. But let's go back to that point. Drivers who are too fast for their own tier, arguably, once upon a time, that was Veloce Surprise, believe it or not. He was in a Tier 2 in ULC too long ago, but you look at him now, and he's the starring. He's on the Xbox console. He is rapping, and he is doing bits. In ILR, in AOR as well, he does bits, it's fair to say. So he is a very, very strong contender for championships as well. My couple of dark horses, and you're right to say that because there are a few. I'm looking at a couple. We've got the likes of CRGA more, so I think he's definitely one to watch this season. Also, the man that maybe goes under the radar because of the side of the world he's on is Virsal Serra. He is an absolute madman on the Brazilian side of Xbox, but the Brazilian will want to be proving his worth out here today against some European opposition. Watch out for him as this season progresses, because I've got some really good thoughts and perhaps even feelings of just how well he can do for the VSR team this season. There are plenty of drivers to look out for, of course, but he stands out in particular.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think we're going to be talking about a lot of stand-up drivers as the season progresses, James, and it's going to throw up a fantastic season as time goes on. But still, currently, Veloce Surprise, which doesn't surprise me, pardon the pun there, on pole in the Mercedes with Leopard in second and in P3. But James, I wanted to ask you, with how this season is working, being over 21 races and being on F1 2018 and 2019, I mean, how much is that going to throw up a surprise for us in this season of URC?
It's going to be, I think, quite drastic. Between two games, I mean, you see some people in 2017 who are... The gap between 2017 and 2018 isn't as big as it has been in recent years in terms of handling, but this year, between 2018 and 2019, I think there may be a sizable difference because sheerly down to downforce. So the cars on the 2019 cars haven't got much front wing at all, so that'll be interesting to see how they cope with that. It's just the adaptation. Who can really take the fight on 2019? Will someone be winning the championship as a dominant advantage in 2018? Will they lose out not quick enough in 2019? There's so many different variables by changing games midway through a season, but that just really does throw up a whole new different element to league racing. It's something we've never ever seen before, and we cannot wait to see how it unfolds.
I mean, I think this is the first time I've ever experienced something like this, and I think it encourages drivers to push a lot harder than they normally would. Maybe they know they're going to be good on F1 2018, and they know that it's going to take time to develop in the 2019 game, and there might be other drivers who will try and jump on the fact it's a new game and will try and get maximum points once that game comes out, as Limitless goes wide through sector number 1. But it's an interesting dynamic. I'm very much looking forward to that, but still 9 minutes to go. James still with a lot of surprise on pole here in Australia.
Absolutely right, he is, the Welshman, doing a bit very happy about that. Let's ride on board with OMG in the McLaren for the ILR team. Let's see how he fares as he comes down towards turn 6. It's a slight kick on entry here. That is just the nature of the road. The road kind of slips away from you as well, so it's difficult to find a breaking point in towards turn 6, and he's now down towards 8 and 9, and you've got to take a lot of curb on inside of both 8 and 9. And this is technically turn 10, but the wheel is just going to be kept as straight as possible through here. It's barely even a turn. Into turn 11 and 12, this is where you've got to be so committed. Joe really does throw the car in and really drops it out of turn 12. And that's what I like to be hoping to get. Limitless moves himself into second place for McLaren then. A good lap from Limitless, but I don't think Joe's time is going to be much improvement here. He's only 16th fastest at the moment as he herds around the final couple of corners.
Comes around the final corner for Joe, and can he get a good exit? Yes, he does. DRS is wide open. Where will Joe go in the standing? He goes across the line and goes up to P number 3. So good job from the ILR boys. First, second, and third currently in the standings. So fantastic job from those guys at the moment. Still a long way to go in this session. Still a couple more drivers to see their fast laps, but it's going to be. I know it's going to be a close one, James. Here in qualifying. The race, I think, will be even closer. We have a huge train forming on the circuit.
Absolutely right, we might. But Joe, I'm surprised by that. He's got time to find, because he definitely didn't take turn 11 and 12, that flat left and right. He really nailed that at all, from what I could see. I'm not going to criticise him, but you could quite clearly see it was on the asterisk turf out of turn 12. He's nearly completely out of shape going to there. Also out of shape going through turn 5 as well. He's gone off the road in a bit of a way. Sierra begins his lap in the Haas. Let's actually watch Sierra then. I think it could be some, as I say, a man to watch this season. He heads through 1 and 2, getting a lot of curb through turn 2 there, down towards turn 3. This is possibly the best place to make overtakes around this Albert Park circuit. It is in essence a street circuit, so that is what drivers become accustomed to now on the start of the Formula 1 season. As he heads then through turn 5. That's absolutely flat out in these cars towards the end of the first sector. He's on soft tyres as well. VSR Infamous Things just moved himself into P8 behind his teammate for VSR at the moment. In towards 8 and 9 comes the Haas, taking a lot of that sausage curve on the inside. Surprise goes even faster at 19.0, and he is a man on a mission. Can anyone drop into the 18s? We've got plenty of time for that to change, as I think Sarah may have just invalidated his time, unless he hasn't, because he's completely seemingly cut 11 and 12, and I think he has just backed out of his lap.
I think he has, James. He's put it into his ERS has been turned off, and I think he's going to come into the pits, and he does have enough time for another couple. Well, he has time for 2 more laps if he gets a move on. He's going to stay. No, he does come in late on there into the pits for the harsh drivers. So we'll have another chance with 6 minutes remaining. But hopefully everyone in the chat is enjoying it. We've got 55 of you live watching us on Twitch. Thank you very much for everybody who is tuning in. Lovely to see how busy the chat is as well.
Yeah. Sorry, a good lap from Simon, who makes it an R1, 2, 3, 4 at the moment. It is for play for then for pole position. Look how close Simon is to Limitless. It's 2 thousandths of a second between those two. And it's going to be a battle between ILR Black and ILR Gold, I feel, for the front row. VSR Infamous has a good lap there for VSR. Moves himself in between the 2 Ferraris representing the LCR and War team. Pinecone down in Leopard up in 5th. And he's off the back of so much confidence, Ollie. You know only too well how well this man has performed in a couple of leagues this season. Just how well has he performed dealing with the pressure of some of the drivers in war this season?
Leper's done a fantastic job. He came out the blocks fighting in the first couple of races. I believe he won 4 or 5 on the bounce early on in the season, and then unfortunately had a bit of a lull, and that allowed Joe to catch up incredibly quickly on the LCR man. But at the end of the season, he put his head down, had 1 or 2 moments. Of course, those who did watch War, you had Mexico and Japan, which caused a huge amount of controversy. But for someone who's only 14, James, he has a fantastic talent of keeping the tyres incredibly cool as the race progresses on. He deals with the pressure so well, and I think he's really one to watch. I mean, he's not in ILR, but he's still one to watch, and he has an outside chance of getting the win tonight if he can get his race connected well and make sure he doesn't get into any incidents early on in the race. But we'll have to see how he does. I'm interested to see, James, whether the ILR guys will all work together as a 4 or they'll split into 2 different teams.
No, it would be interesting. And watching ILR this season, commentating on it last season, I should say, you didn't see an awful lot of team orders at all, really. It was very, every man for himself. But in a league like this, where it is dependent on league or team, maybe they will decide to do that. So I've just picked up on really quickly is from Simon in 2nd down to Pinecone in 7th. They're all in the 1 minute 19.4s. They're all within a 10th of each other. That is crazy close. That is unpalpably close between those guys. I hope that continues. I do hope we also see more of a challenge for pole, because it's a sizable margin at the moment. About 3 and a bit tenths between Surprise and Simon.
Yeah, a bit of a gap at the moment. Like you said, gentlemen, I'm hoping that is closed down, but it really shows, even from more so down to Holland, they're all in the 1 minute 19.6. So it shows how close this grid is this season. I think it's the closest I've seen in a long time in any league I've commentated over the past year or so on this game. And Miro,
goodness me, goes into 2nd
there you go.
place for the ERL team. That's a stunning effort from him for ERL there. They'll be laughing at that because they haven't got Snazzy Evening, their one lap man specialist, but they've got ERL Miro there, and he's moved himself into P2. Ooh.
Syra crashes into the wall just before a now 3rd DRS sector, but that is turn number 12. He's gone wide, James, onto the Astrov and binned it on the wall on the right side.
And that will be a common fault for everyone on their flying laps, pushing it to the absolute limits, and that is the limit of grip, which is AstroTurf. They won't be wanting to go into that, but Poland will be laughing there with Ero Miro on the front row. Can he improve on that time? Can he challenge the ILR champion of the Loche Surprise? That will be one to watch, as we're starting to see a few more guys just darting out the pits. Simon and Limitless. Joe's already out on circuit, and I feel like he will be beginning, I should say, his final run in qualifying, unless he's darted it with a bit more fuel in the car as well. My surprise in the session so far, though, is going to go to Danny F31. Brilliant effort from him and the RFL team. They're in the top 10 and they'll be laughing. It's their first ever race in this kind of series, but they're so pumped up for it. It's great to see. Joe then, out of turn 1 and 2. Let's see what this lap is like. This could be the lap to spoil all laps for the Welshman, who he's just passed the Loche Surprise into turn 3. Into the apex there. Don't run it out too wide. You're going to keep it on the right hand side before, and don't run it too wide there. Didn't World Grand Prix how that unsettles Claire. That down to turn to the first second, running all sorts of curves where now intensity and improve on his time.
Yeah, he just, I think he ran a little bit wide coming out of turn 5 cost him there. He's going to slow down. Still has enough time on his hands, James, to go out one more time. It's pulling the inside through turn 11 and making sure he can get in the way of anybody's lap, but there's plenty of time still left in the session. 50 seconds to go, and these laps are going to come in hot and fast now, James, and I'm looking forward to seeing someone fight for lots of surprise for that top spot here in Australia. He's on a lap himself, so keep an eye on the man leading the qualifying session at the moment.
Absolutely. Morso's moved himself into third for War there. I believe that is 4. I could be totally wrong in what I'm saying there, but I believe it is. He's moved himself into third in the standings for the moment. It's a good effort from the Red Bull, and we'll be happy with that. Limitless is also on a lap. Simon is going around the final couple of corners. He is on a lap, but I don't think he's going to improve. He's going to wait to do another lap. He will be one of the final cars to take the checkered flag in Albert Park. Pinko moves himself into third fastest. Simon across the line doesn't improve. He will have to go for another run in this qualifying session. Then let's see. I think one of the first cars to come across the line now will be Thierry in the McLaren. Opens the DRS as he heads now down. This is the third DRS they fitted around Albert Park circuit. Miro can't improve. He stays in P2, and he can only hope for P2 now, but let's see if Limitless can improve on his time. He's got a bit of traffic in the Red Bull ahead of him. I don't know how much dividends that's going to play on him. I don't think it's going to be too for Tero Limitless then. Around the final corner for ILR. Can he find himself with a front row start here? Limitless towards the line, goes through by 0.003 of a second against Miro, and then Holland moves himself into second, stonking lap from Holland in the Red Bull. He moves himself into second. Everyone else is going to be tumbling like flies here. Joe is also around the final few corners. As is surprise, he's gone too far, he's gone too deep, and he's not going to improve on his pole time. So anyone else has got a shot at pole. Pinecone, Joe maybe. No, I think everyone's sort of moving out the way. Simon is also on a lap. Joe around the final corner for McLaren, for ILR. Can he improve on his time? Infamous into third. Joe up to line, he can go onto the front row, he's second, he's not quite pole though. Simon is also on a lap in the Mercedes. Can he make it up a ILR lockout? No, he can't. He starts from 9th. It's a brilliant effort from Veloce Surprise, who takes pole by the most minimal of margins against OMG. It's Joe, but a brilliant effort from some guys in the field there, Ollie. Some really outstanding efforts.
Yeah, great lap from CRGA Holland in P number 3, as well as Infamous getting onto the second row of the grid. And surprising, I've seen Simon do so badly down in 9th, James, which I did not expect for someone who races in the top tier racing in most divisions.
Yeah, in qualifying, sometimes Simon, well, you could say sometimes can be his strong point. He has had a couple of pole positions in ILR over the course of last season, from what I recall. He also has some good results, I understand, in AOR as well. So that's interesting. Let's take you through then the grid for this Australian Grand Prix, and you may not be surprised to find Surprise is on pole ahead of OMG It's Joe on the front row. But look at the gap, 300ths of a second between those two. Holland starts from third, Infamous from fourth, Limitless starts from fifth. Miro's a great effort to start sixth at ARL. Pinecone starts from 7th, ahead of Morso and 8th. Maybe a bit disappointed, those two. Simon will definitely be disappointed, making it the German row 5, with Leopard only 10th, the war champion only starting 10th. Danny 11th for RFL, and he'll be mighty happy with that. I'm sure RFL are chuffed to bits with that, because that is a brilliant effort from him. And Ciro will only start 12th, but I'm sure most of those guys there, Ollie, I think that may have even been a second between the guys in first, the guys all the way down in the mid-pack, maybe 15th or so it's crazy close.
It is indeed, James, and it really shows how competitive this league is. You make that one mistake and the whole grid will fly right by you, especially around this circuit. I mean, Australia, the first race of the season, grueling circuit, of course. Difficult to overtake as well, though, James, being it part street circuit, part road course. But I'm really looking forward to it. Grey clouds as well, so may have some.
Maybe rain.
Everyone qualified on the ultras, so that's an interesting dynamic.
Potentially meaning then we could see this Grand Prix. I don't believe there is a function lap. So URC Season 4 will be getting underway as soon as you know it. And we know This is going to really kick off into turn one. Quite a short run, but launches everything. Pole position isn't necessarily everything, though, because they, of course, have the inside for turn one. So it's all about if they can play their cards right and close to the test. No one's going to have any sort of idea of what they're going to do into turn one. Not least, oh, it is a formation lap. Apologies, there is a formation lap. For Tier 2, we didn't have one, you see, so I made the assumption that we might have one for Tier 1. But that gives us a bit of breathing space to relax. So let's have a look then at the guys they've decided to go on. Oh, take us through it.
So it looks like the top 10, of course, they can't change though, they're all on the ultra soft, but further down, got a heap of drivers doing the alternate strategy on the super soft. So it looks like Danny, Tom, Verstappen, KJ, Zelchi, Rossi, Toms and Rosso down at the bottom, all going for alternate strategy. And I think if they can get it right, James, if they can make sure they stay out of contact and gain on the drivers in front, they've got every chance of doing the overcut on the drivers behind them. And it's been interesting to see how they do that and how they negotiate it here in Australia. As well, the weather, James, it looks quite cold, so the tyres won't overheat as much, being the cold temperatures on track as well. So I'm looking forward to see how that dynamic works tonight. I think some of the guys at the back of the grid are really going to surprise us tonight and show what they're made of on the alternate strategy.
Absolutely right. Well, if I was to tell you any sort of statistic, any sort of facts, the last two, from what I recall, the last two are winners in Australia were Veloce Surprise and OMG It's Joe. So we are in for an absolute treat and a barnstormer ahead of the first race of this URC season 4. Is going to kick off in style. Teams, drivers, leagues, everything to play for. From now in March to December the 3rd is when we'll be racing until, and it's a long way between then. Games will change. Drive may also change. We will have to wait and see on that front, but as long as we'll know it, it's going to be these two from the front row of the grid in Australia. And Albert Park is the best place to start any Grand Prix season. It's that back to school vibe in many ways. So let's see what surprise, what OMG's Joe can do from the front row as the grid begins to form up. 20,000, as I said in qualifying, 20 raging stallions or 20,000 brake horsepower really lining up now on the grid. Let's see then what these guys are made of. URC is about to get underway. Rossrow is lining up into his grid slot for ERL. Not the start he will be wanting. But Veloce Surprise from pole. He starts from the right hand side. Joe on the left. We've got 5 lights ahead of the drivers. And this lights out and away we go. It's a pretty good launch from Surprise on pole position. He's going to lead into someone quite comfortably, in fact, ahead of OMG Joe, who does start into second place. Joe's Holland in third, and then you have Infamous in fourth. He's just holding on against Holland instead as well. He's dropped a bit of a stone. He's standing in fifth, and Miro making oppositions off the line as well. The two Ferraris going to swamp him though into turn 3. Nearly make contact. Leopard's gone round. There's more carbon fibre everywhere. Simon's got involved in that as well. And goodness me, all sorts of action going on in towards turn 3 there. I'm not sure what you called of that, Ollie, but there was a lot of carnage, and maybe at fault there was the Ferrari.
Yeah, I believe Leopard dived down the inside of Miro, and that caused a huge collision, and everyone got bottled together. Front wing damage for quite a few of the drivers. So I can imagine there'll be a few pit stops from the drivers at the back, and that's not what they wanted when at the start of this Grand Prix. It's lap 1 of 29. It's not a sprint, James, and a lot of the drivers have already ruined their Grand Prix.
Ruined their Grand Prix and ruined their chances early doors here, but Joe is sticking right onto the back of the Welshman of Veloce Surprise, who leads after the first lap or so, but Joe is giving him a good run for his money as they head in towards the final sector. Those two Ferraris did make up places at the start, so they'll be happy with that. Danny for the RFL team, he's moved himself into 9th. Tom is moving himself into the top 10 here, so literally living up to his name. Surprise one's a little bit wide coming out the final corner, so this will give Joe that slight glimmer of hope as they head down toward turn 1. It's getting closer. This is a great place. It's turn 3. Let's see what the McLaren can do against the Welshman as they head down towards turn 3. I don't think he's going to put us enough dust yet. With a bit of DRS in a couple of laps' time, he'll surely be looking for it. CRG Simon, one of the big names, is out of the first race of the season. The Australian Grand Prix has not gone to plan for one of the RLR drivers. He is out after just 1 lap of this Australian Grand Prix, and not the start he'll be wanting. His wretched luck in RLR started really around here in is wretched like a URC Mason around him. I sincerely hope not. I sincerely hope he can get himself back together ahead for the Bahrain Grand Prix. But it's still a surprise from Joe. Holland and Infamous, they're at the sticking with them as well. But look at Infamous, he's pushing the Red Bull of Holland as they head through turn 10. Up towards turn 11, he's going to be mighty close through here. How committed will the house be? He won't make a move through there. It's like a bus in many ways as the Red Bull. Joe is still sticking. It's so close at the moment. Really is tight, but that's to be expected with only a couple of laps played, not raced.
Oh, of course, James. I mean, we're yet to see DRS be enabled. I was like, oh, and that's a bit wide from Infamous coming round the third to last corner. That may allow Limitless to get onto the back of him now. He get a good run at the final corner, and Surprise is weaving all over this, trying to break that DRS, James. Doesn't look, sorry, DRS, the slipstream, but it's not working for him now. And Joe is still sticking right to the back of the Mercedes, and DRS is now enabled, James, and we're going to see a plethora of overtakes over the next coming laps.
Next coming laps, yes, indeed. Joe does look mighty at the moment. It's that middle sector. I feel Joe's really hooking this McLaren up in many ways. But surprise, it's just having to live with OGX Joe behind him at the moment, who's doing a stellar job. It really is for let's see what he can do there against Surprise. That's a little bit out of road, going out of turn 5 and 6, I think that may be. And it's 9. We now crop up towards. He's going to have to just stick with him. DRS has of course enabled this lap, but just where can Joe put his foot down and get this overtake done? You feel like it's turn 3, but he's going to have to play his cards close to his chest. He knows it's a long way to go in this Grand Prix. He can't afford to be picking up penalties. Joe runs a little bit out of shape through turn 12 there, but keeps it all together. And he's not under any sort of pressure from Holland behind him at the moment. He's holding a firm third place, but Joe is within DRS of Surprise, but it's a case now, I don't think of really using it to overtake him. This is going to be a case of just closing up to him in many ways, just trying to keep that gap to what it is, and that may play a huge difference as this Grand Prix progresses. Surprise, as we say, once again weaving out the straight. Let's just see it towards turn 1. We're close enough. Yes, it doesn't cut turn 1, it looked like there, but it's a little bit out of shape out of turn 2 as well. Joe's not going to be close enough down towards turn 3, but Infamous definitely looks racy on behind Holland, and he's not going to get the move done either. Good, I'd say clean start from most, but of course we're going to have to look. They're going to have to look at that incident between Ferrari and all sorts of gangler cars behind.
Oh, 100%, James. Luckily, I caught it on stream, so you can re-watch the carnage back after the Grand Prix finishes. But Infamous looks to be closest on track, all over the back of the Red Bull. Almost managed to make the overtake coming through turn 2 and 3, but still not there yet. He's really close to the back of CRGA Holland, and he's almost glued to his diffuser through. Here they go on to around turn 12. Can he do anything up towards turn 13? He's got to be careful because Limitless is directly behind them in this battle for fighting for P. Number 3, he's going to break late, but he can't get past him as of yet, James. He's going to have to wait one more lap to go for it, but he pops towards the inside. He's trying everything. He's trying everything in his arsenal to try and get past the Red Bull, but he can't do it yet.
Yeah, they're going to have to watch out for Limitless behind, because he's going to be darting on this. Really is going to be almost very easy. It's going to be a prancing horse behind him in many ways. He's just got a dart horse in as well. And speaking of prancing horses, the Ferraris are up behind him in close combat as they head down towards turn 1. I'm going to nearly make a move in his team lane. There are any team wars between those two. I like to believe there are. Joe is sticking right with Surprise as they head down to turn 3. He's not quite close enough to get the move done yet, but it's 1.7 seconds. Here goes Infamous and the fierce contact there. Yes, he did. What does he catch there, Ollie?
It looked like Holland was stuck in between two cars of Infamous and Limitless, and contact formed between those two cars, and they went straight on, expecting a Gutierrez Alonso moment from a few years ago, with Limitless putting it into the gravel, and that's damage for both cars now of Holland and Limitless. And it's not a race either driver wanted, and it's more contact in the first sector of this Grand Prix, and it's not what either driver wanted. And now Limitless is going to lose a heap of time, and he may even be overtaken by Zelchi and Miro directly behind him.
Absolutely, I want to watch this battle between Morso and Leopard. Morso is on the side of Leopard as they head down towards turn 13 and gets the move done in the Red Bull. He's now ahead then, so let's get the words out properly. Where one Red Bull struggles, another Red Bull maybe succeeding is also there. But Danny's sticking up behind these guys as well from the RFL team. This is a brilliant effort, it really is from him. And let's see what he can do as they head down towards turn 1. I don't think he's been close enough this lap. He's 7th at the moment. A really fine try. Oh goodness me, he gets close to the back of the foot into turn 1, pushing him round there. But Joe is starting to lose tabs to Surprise ahead of himself. She's got past Holland into turn 1 as well. So Holland losing another position. He's in the barriers. Holland is out of the Australian Grand Prix in a major way. Tremendous qualifying. What can you say about that? So unfortunate for Holland, and he bows out of the Australian Grand Prix, leaving it down to Morso to pick up the pieces for the Red Bull team.
Yeah, really unlucky there as Limitless is being overtaken by Miro. He's been pushed onto the grass. Oh, that was a bit sketchy there from Miro. I don't know whether that was from trying to counter the stunt, but that is not the decisive move from the Renault. Limitless, in fairness, Limitless does have half a front wing, so I'm surprised he hasn't come into the pits yet, James. Trying to hold out until the starts to fall off the cliff, but that's not what Limitless wants. He's definitely.
And in towards turn 13. Goodness, sorry to go across your hair, Ollie, but goodness. Me. That's an audacious from Danny. Tamworth nearly got it stopped against also one of the masters of late braking in Leopard, but he couldn't quite get it done. And Leopard peels off into the pit stop. Here comes also a Pinecone as well. In towards turn 1. Pinecone out then. So the Red Bull of Morse charged. The Northern Irishman is through into because they're side by side down into turn 4, turn 3 I should say, and Pinecone is on the outside. He's not going to have to run. Morse a little bit later, but holds it firm. His 4th place for now. It's mighty tight in that midfield.
Oh, it really is, and this is exactly what we've seen, James. Also, Limitless got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane as well, so really not what JD wanted, and his race has gone from bad to worse for him. But this midfield battle is fantastic, James. Up to the front, though, Velocis Price has 1.8 seconds over Joe now, so that's key for him to try and keep ahead of him through the pit stop phase.
I do wonder when Joe will stop. He's got to try and undercut, and I've known predominantly over the course of the RR season just how Joe isn't really able to. The latter part of the first stint, he really does struggle on his tyres, and playing its part once again here. Top Tom is close up behind Danny. He's now 6th. Top Tom is 7th for his car. It is sorting all together. I think Pinecone had a fair bit of understeer going through turn 14 there. Is anyone going to dive in? Joe does pit. He does come in for ILR, and this is crucial really for the ILR Gold team. Where will he rejoin? Sorry, the ILR Black team I should say. See where he will come out. This is crucial for the race, it really is. He can't afford to be held, isn't held in the stop. Now it's a case of, is he in any traffic? Because that's the next big question. Top Tom is right up behind Danny's there into turn 3. Can't done. Is Joe in clean air? Yes he is, in a lot of clean air as well. He's got no one around him as the McLaren, and this is where he needs to get his foot buried on that, well, his right foot buried to the floor. This is a big moment in the race.
Definitely, Joe coming here is exactly what he needed to try and counter Velocis Surprise and try and take the lead through this pit stop phase. Will it Velocis Surprise coming to the pits on this lap? That is one thing we've got to keep an eye out on lap number 8. Just to point out the guys in the super softs, James, Danny and Tom doing a great job high up in the table at the moment, and of course they are doing the alternate strategy, so keep an eye on them later on. Of course they will be coming in later than the other drivers, but will Velocis Surprise come into the pits to counteract? Oh my god, it's Joe.
Goodness me, Tom's got to move double. Danny there in towards turn 13. It's a brilliant effort from the Williams, who moves himself ahead of the RFL car, and Danny then will have to come back. But as you say, Surprise pits from the lead of the Grand Prix. He's on the soft side. He's very lucky that also didn't get in his way and obstruct his clearance. But let's see how close Joe is. Joe's coming around the final couple of corners now. Surprise is just about leaving the pit lane. I don't think Joe may have done it here. He's going to be really close. I think Surprise is going to waltz away into the distance. Indeed he is. Surprise moves himself and keeps himself in technically the lead of this Grand Prix. Joe could do nothing about that, and that was just pure and simple pit stop matters.
He gained a second through the pit stop phase there, Velocis Surprise, so nailing it there in the opening laps, and he will be going to the end on those soft tyres now. Still 20 laps remaining here, but Joe's going to have to put his foot down if he wants to get a win here in Australia. Of course, penalties may even come into play as well. Either driver yet to get a penalty at the moment, but keep an eye on that as the session progresses. But it is top Tom 53 in the lead with Danny in second and Zelchi in P3. But of course, these guys have not pitted. But everyone has a little bit spaced out now, James, as usually happens in this pit stop phase.
Absolutely right, and this is where you sort of see the winners and the losers in many ways. And Pinecone is staying ahead of his teammate Leopard for now. I think maybe one of the biggest losers there was Sergio. Also, for some reason, it's at the back of the field. Whether he's got wing damage immediately, I should hope not so, is 18th and out of the chance of a podium. And that is so cruel for the Warren Elstar team. I'm not happy with that.
He's stuck in the pits. I think he's had a glitched, James, and he's not moving whatsoever. So that is really not how he wanted to start his URC season here, and he's retired from the session. That is really unfortunate for him, and he's out now. But another mistake from Rossi, it seems, and he's in the gravel at turn 1 and 2. Not sure what's happened to him there, but he's down into 10th place, and that's not what he wanted at all. The Force India man, he's lost a heap of positions, and his tyres are going to be, well, they're not going to be very nice after a trip through that gravel trap, and he may be overtaken by Miro. He's gone straight on once again, James. He's having a horrid lap number 10.
He's lost lots of wing as well. There's no end plate on the left side of that racing point for Force India. This is best known by many of us, and yeah, he's not having a good day in the good afternoon at all at the moment. Tom is sticking right with Danny at the moment. This is a brilliant scrap between those two. They really are starting to scrap away for what is the lead of the Grand Prix, but isn't necessarily for the lead of the Grand Prix. Fury Online Racing versus RFL, who can come out on top. They're actually pulling away from Zelchi behind them, or Zelchi's just losing a little bit of time to these guys. I don't know how he's managing that, but the Sauber isn't doing maybe what he was hoping for. Let's see what he'll do against Danny then. Down towards turn 3. It's been a mighty squabble so far. He can't get the move done. Joe has set the fast lap of the Grand Prix, and that is a key pointer there, Ollie, because there's another key pointer, because Surprise has got a penalty. But crucially, in every this season, we mirror how Formula 1 does it. So the guy with the fastest lap at the end of the Grand Prix, if they're in the top 10, will get an added bonus point. So there is everything to play for with these races as well. That added point, 21 points available if you're lucky enough to get a fastest lap at every Grand Prix this season. But yeah, that is a crucial moment in the race with Surprise getting a penalty.
To have a penalty so early on as well, James. Only done 11 laps, not even over the halfway point yet. To have a penalty from a man who has a huge amount of experience in league racing is not ideal at all. I think maybe feeling the pressure from Joe, who's gained enormously over the last couple of laps, and he may even be in overtaking opportunity here as they start lap number 12.
He really is dancing up behind that Mercedes, isn't he? Joey is really giving it hell for leather, and there's a few cars pits, actually being one of them. Let's see what Joe can do. Surprise has Derek as well, and they weave once again towards the pit wall, down towards turn 1. I don't think it's going to be this lap for Joe, but he'll certainly give it a good go. He's running a little bit out of shape through turn 2. Surprised though, with that penalty, Joe will know that he could just bide time here. He doesn't need to go for it. As long as he doesn't get a penalty, he just bides his time. And he's doing just that at the moment for the RLR Black team against the RLR Gold team. And, this is a big moment in the race. So let's see how much Joe can close into that middle sector. Whether my theory is going to become present here. Let's see if he can get a move into there. But I think Miro's got past Danny into the braking zone of turn 3. Indeed, he has. Miro moves ahead. He's on 4-lap older tyres though, so we can find ourselves with Kvyat Gasly moment in this Grand Prix. Danny behind Miro now, and that is for 8th place.
Danny's just come out of the pits. James, of course, fighting with Tom at the front of the Grand Prix still, and Zelchi. But he's got his own fight now with Miro as they come through turn 9 and 10. DRS is not enabled as of yet. It's not in the right area, but still a long way to go in this Grand Prix as Tom comes into the pits. But back up the front, let's see if Joe can get Veloci Surprise on the end of lap number 12. DRS is wide open for McLaren, come down towards turn 1 and 2. It's going to be close. He's closing that gap ever so slightly, but it's not going to be enough through turn 1 and 2. Can he do it down towards turn number 3? Mercedes versus McLaren. They're both in their own respective ILR teams, but he still can't get that at the moment, James. But again, I mean, how does that dynamic work now? Because of course he knows Surprise has a penalty. Does he just ease off, or does he actually push and try and get the win?
I think knowing Joe, he'll push and go for the win. He's got really, I think, every right to think like that as well. But it's the run that these cars are getting out of turn 2. It's just being able that dirty air through turn 1. It's just paying so much dividend to come out of turn 2 because they're just all understeering. Sarah's made a move. They've got E6 then on some 11-lap old super soft tyres. So he pit very early doors with the Brazilian. He's trying to make his way back through the pack. Let's see what Joe can do there as they head down towards 11 and 12. He's closing in on the Welshman. Flying Welshman. Doesn't exactly work, but let's see what Surprise is made of then against OMG's Joe, who's often quite good at the first part of a stint. It's the end part of the stint he struggles with, like many drivers, but he really does struggle. The patch has helped him out a little bit more to close up with the likes of Surprise and Evo and Simon, all those top guys. Let's see what Joe can do then. A bit of DRS assistance. He's having to short shift around that final corner. You can see how much more lock he's having to put in to that McLaren just to get it through that final corner. It's 0.5 of a second between himself and Surprise. They're down towards turn 1. Late on the brakes once again. Throw the car in. This time it looks like he's a bit better on the exit of turn 2. But I don't know whether it's going to be enough in towards turn 3. He's not going to be close enough just yet. This battle will rage on, I'm sure, with around 15 laps to go.
Yeah, I mean, Joe seems to be quick, but he's not quick enough coming out the last sector, and he can't get past him. But Tom looking very racy behind Sierra, but he can't get past him either, both on different strategies. Sierra doing 12 laps in the Supersofts after having instant, he was part of that huge cluster of cars that had contact on lap number 1, and Tom looking very racy as the hardest piece of the car in the centre of the road, and that might cause Tom to catch up with him through towards turn number 8 and 9, but can't get past him at the moment. Back up the top of the grid there, ever so close there. Joe squirms out of turn 12, James, and he's quick in the middle sector, but he just can't nail the last sector to actually pounce on Surprise on the pit straight.
The dirty air plays such a bad effect through these final few corners. It's a joke. You can see it much more long. Some of these corners, especially this final corner, it just is so tense. You can't get on the throttle early enough to really challenge Surprise towards turn 1, which is not being said for some other cars. Maybe he's running lower wings. That could be the other factor. But into turn 1 we go now. Joe is significantly closer. Can he stay with him though? He needs the momentum out of 2, and he needs that drive on the Welshman down towards turn 3. Can he get the move done into turn 3? He's not going to be close enough on this occasion, and he does stick in behind for now. But it is just that last sector. Maybe he needs to think about this. Maybe he needs to bide his time out a little bit more. Maybe just ease off the back of Surprise and close up again. Once he has a bit more life in those front tyres and dart at that Mercedes once again. Top Tom has got past Sierra. He's into 6th place once again for the Fury Online Racing team, and for their debut in URC, you would have to say this is a brilliant effort from them, and he is doing wonders for them. Into P6. That's a brilliant effort from Top Tom, and he'll be very happy with that, I'm sure.
Yeah, great move from him. The only slight thing he did cut turn 1 slightly too much, and it caused him to get a penalty, even though he got past him coming down towards turn number 3. So positive and negatives from Tom there in P number 6, but a great drive so far. Still a long way to go. Just over the halfway point now in this Grand Prix, but can Joe finally get Veloci Surprise on this line? I don't think he can. He got a huge lock up coming into the penultimate corner, and he's still not close enough. Like I said, James, I think it's the dirty air. It's really affecting Joe, and it's he can't capitalise on using that DRS full effect here in Australia. We said in the intro, it's difficult enough to overtake around the circuit with a dirty air effect on those soft tyres. He's been stuck behind the Mercedes. Is really not helping Joe out at all. But of course, he does know that Veloci Surprise has a penalty as Sierra finally comes in the pits on those super soft tyres. Further back in the top 10, Infamous P3, Pinecomb P4, Leopard P5, Tom in 6th, Danny 7th, Nero in 8th, Zelchi 9th, and Limulus in P10, who is very close to the back of that Sauber.
He is indeed very close back to that Sauber. Let's go into turn 3. He's looking into the outside then. Here's Tero Limulus. Won't get the move done against Zelchi there. Recently, I was going to say graduated into the CRG Academy, but that would be quite right. He's moved into the CRG Academy, the newly formed academy as well, with the likes of Morso and Holland as well, who haven't been able to show their worth out here today, but Zelchi is doing his worth up there in P9 at the moment for Sauber, and a good position for him at the moment. He's also had a pit stop, so he's actually on fresher tyres than Limulus, but Limulus going to give him a run for his money down towards turn 10. Turn 11 follows. They're going to be mighty close into turn 11. Limulus is going to have to try all the way around the outside into 11 and 12. Goodness me, that was close and couldn't get the move done into there. Settles for P10 for now, but goodness me, that got tight.
I did. I was expecting one of those cars into the wall on the inside there, James, but great driving from both drivers to keep it nice and clean. And I think Zelchi's going to be under pressure from Limitless as they come round the penultimate corner to finish off lap number 16 for both these drivers. Onto the pit straights they go, but Limitless a little too far behind at the moment. But of course Zelchi does not have that DRS, but maybe not down to turn number 1, but down to turn number 3 we could see a move from the McLaren driver. Still Veloci Surprise leading the Grand Prix, Joe in P number 2 and Infamous in P3. Scuffs a bit of dirt coming on the exit of turn number 2, but still not close enough at the moment, Limitless. But he is on a mission, James, to try and claw back as many points as he can after a disappointing opening stint of the Grand Prix.
He is indeed, but Joe is getting on a mission here. He's right up behind Surprise and he's so close to him. Here goes the chance then from Juice Joe. He's got DRS wide open into the third DRS zone. Into turn 13 goes the McLaren. He can't get the move done. Surprise locks his wheels. They mainly make contact with each other into 13. But somehow they both keep it all together. Joe got so close to him there, and Limitless has finally passed Zelchi. I believe they're down the order. He's actually waiting up for Zelchi there, so that battle won't really resume. But let's see what Joe can do against Veloci once again with Deros down of the final corner. He's closing, but not enough into turn 1. He's going to have to bide his time again and wait for turn 3, which is his best opportunity, you feel, to take the lead of this Australian Grand Prix.
Of course, yeah, Joe's he's so close, James, but he needs that extra car length to get past him, and he almost managed to do it through turn 13, but as of yet he can't get past the mightily wide Mercedes of Surprise at the moment, doing a great defensive job with just over 11 laps remaining here in Australia. We've got some movement further down as Sire puts a new fast lap of 122.8, so currently where is he on my table? Currently he's in the top 10 as well, so currently he has that extra point, James. So I think that point will really count against, it will really help in the season as it progresses, and when it stands up, we may even see it come down to the final race where that point will come into play. But Joe losing more time to Veloci Surprise now. I think maybe those front tyres on that car will start to overheat, James, as we've seen in the past from Joe. He does like to overheat his tyres. Yeah, he does overheat his tyres, maybe too early doors. I mean, he's been for some 10 laps then in this Oz Grand Prix, the Australian Grand Prix, as it should be rightly known as. But yeah, those fronts really are starting to take a beating on that McLaren. 3.9 seconds behind them is Infamous, who's not exactly, he's kept that gap pretty much as it was for a long, long time in this Grand Prix. Sierra gets a penalty, but he's going to be very, very quick in these last 10 laps or so. Sierra on those super soft tyres, he should hold the fastest lap of this Australian Grand Prix. And of course, we'd love to know. I mean, with 10 laps to go, it's a bit early doors, but you can always let us know. Have your thoughts, have your ponders about your driver of the day, because that is one thing that many people will probably look back on the channel and think, oh yeah, he did have a good race this time around. But there's plenty of contenders, it's fair to say. Oh, definitely. As Sierra puts another fast lap of a 22.4, so he's absolutely flying. The sun is starting to come out on circuit as well, Jim, so that may be helping allowing him to improve on his lap times. But VS Verstappen has put on a new set of super soft, so maybe he's trying to get that award. Maybe he won't actually. He's down 14th, 15th at the moment, so he's going to have to do something special if he wants to get back at the top. But KJ Gamer and Tom are fighting away side by side as come down towards turn number 3. Who's going to come out on top? It's the Sauber breaks far later, but the Williams on the inside. Oh, he's been pushed wide there onto the grass, a wheel in the gravel trap, and I'm not sure whether that was kosher, but he nicely allows the car back through up the inside. And good racing, good respective racing there, allowing him back through there, James. But balls to the wall here, fighting for P12 and P13.
Oh, any battle a racing driver finds, they will go and take it, and they've proven their worth once again out here today. Limitless is closing to the back of Zelchi once again, and as it stands, only 2 teams have a car not inside the top 10 at the moment. Only 2 teams not having that. They are Red Bull and Toro Rosso. They neither have a car in the top 10, neither will be scoring points. That would mean that some 8 teams may have points going away from the Australian Grand Prix, which is actually reminiscent of the real life Australian Grand Prix, where the only 2 teams not to have scored in the real life Australian Grand Prix were, of course, McLaren and Williams. So let's see what Tiro Limitless can do against Zelchi to ruin that charge. Down in towards turn 3, then here goes Limitless on the outside of the Sauber. Should be easy pickings, isn't quite easy pickings. That Sauber's putting up a good fight, but Limitless finds his way up the inside into turn 4 and passes the Sauber of CRGA. Zelchi on so younger soft tyres there, losing out to Limitless, who is now in the top 10.
Good move from Tiro Limitless round the outside through turn number 3, and he's got past Delta, which is key for his Grand Prix, and he's now into the point, as well as Rosra is retired down in 17th, sector number 3. I don't know whether that's a retirement because of a crash, or whether he's just retired in the pits. We're not sure with that one. Hopefully we can find out at the end of the Grand Prix. But still, Roger surprising the leader of the race, James and Joe, still behind him. But crucially for Joe, even though he's not overtaken more, I think he physically can't because of that dirty air, he's still within that 3 seconds, unless, still a long way to go in this Grand Prix, but he still has net P1 with a penalty that Surprise has.
Actually, yeah, you're absolutely right, and obviously surprising that penalty, it's not a deal for him, but one warning now for Joe, and he'll find himself with a very, very similar fate indeed, and that's not something that he can do. He's just got to sit here and just bide his time, because his ERS, he's got so much more ERS than Veloce Surprise at the moment, so he just needs to think about this. He doesn't need to pass Surprise on track. He knows if he doesn't, he is still going to win this Grand Prix, but he knows if that one more corner cut, and that is almost the safety net really, if he can get into the lead and then get a penalty, he's still safe. Which is of course winning the Grand Prix, they're all level, and that will mean Joe is winning the race, but that is something that he'll have to think about. Does he need to force the issue? I don't think he needs to, he definitely doesn't need to, but with a penalty now, that could ruin his race. It really will ruin his race if he can't get past it. Big moment then in the Grand Prix in that sense, and he just can't afford to let that happen. Sierra, 6.1 seconds behind Hero. Just to put this into context for you, 5 laps ago he bolted on a set of super soft tyres, he was 11th. He was nearly, 15 or so seconds behind Miro. It's fresh supers, he's already 6 seconds behind the Renault, and that could get close by the end of the Grand Prix. But of course, let us know who you think the driver of the day should be in the chat. As I said before, there's a few big contenders for certain. It is still a surprise from Joe from infamous in 3rd. It's a great drive from VSR, and they are the only team, as it were, the only team, the esports team, to be on a podium at the moment. There's Pinecone in 4th, Leopard in 5th. Top Tom is a brilliant drive for Fury Online Racing. He is 6th down here for RFL with 7th. ARL Miro to thank in P8. The other VSR boy, Sarah, is 9th in Limitless, rounding out that top 10.
Yeah, crucially for Limitless, he's into the points now, but whether he gets up to 9th and nabs another point is up for debate. With 7 laps remaining, he's gone 15 lap old soft tyres, and Sierra, of course, is on an absolute mission here in P9, and at this rate, James, he will catch up to the back of Miro, who's on 14 laps on the softs on his Renault. So keep an eye on that gap. Everyone's a little bit spaced out at the moment with how the race progress, but the sun has come out. Flying Ross is back into the lobby, which is good to see. But Joe dropping back ever so slightly now, James. I mean, maybe his tyres are starting to overheat, like we mentioned earlier, and I think because of his because he knows that Surprise has a penalty, he can relax ever so slightly. But like you said, Joe is not someone to give up very easily. If the opportunity does come up, he will go down the inside and take first place right out of Surprise's hands here in Australia. But still, a couple more laps to go, and still plenty more chances for drivers to make up places here in Australia.
I think, yeah, in many ways it does almost have a psychological effect. Between league races, it's not a small thing, but league race, as much as about your quality, it's also about how you play, almost a mental game. You can play a mental game as well. And for Joe, I feel if he gets a win over Surprise at a circuit like this, where Surprise has beat him in the past, it just gives him that bit of confidence just to go on and think, yeah, I might actually have a chance here. As much as this is about teams and leagues, there's also a Drivers' Championship to be decided. So for the likes of Joe, he'll be definitely thinking when he can actually get his own back against Veloce Surprise. He's shown some real promise of both of these guys, and I love course Surprise has won the championship in that, and the crucial thing for him there was consistency. He didn't finish a Grand Prix lower than 6th in that entire season, which is quite incredible, but he also finished every single race. So there is the consistency playing its part, and Joe wasn't as successful. Got a couple of wins, 3 or so wins, and he has his good moments, but he really didn't. He couldn't come up to scratch against Surprise, who on some days was just simply stunning. So this could be a good psychological battle then for Joe if he can just get past Veloce Surprise, who leads the Australian Grand Prix with 5 laps to go.
I think the fight we have between first and second now, James, is the beginning of the story of the season. Really, it's still a long way to go. Of course, so 20 races remain in this season, and it'll be interesting how both these top drivers adapt as the season progresses on to the second game of F1 2019, which will really throw up some surprises. I think those who may not have jobs may be able to practice a little bit more and gain an advantage of some other drivers in this league. That's no spite from me, I promise. But it's now 8 tenths putting first and second. Joe still not gaining enough time on the man in front of him with 5 laps remaining. Infamous still holding P3, but he's got to be careful though. James, out of nowhere, Pinecone is gaining on him. There's now just over seconds, but in 3rd and 4th. I know both the drivers I believe both have got penalties, as Limitless and Verstappen both have got penalties, so they're coming thick and fast in this session now. And again, we mentioned it earlier, James, Sierra is on an absolute charge, and it's now 2.3 seconds between him and Miro directly in front of him.
Oh, that is game over for Veloce Surprise. He will not be winning this Australian Grand Prix with things like that happening. Another penalty to his name, and that has written the script for Omjit Go, who, if he stays where he is destined to win the first race of this URC season. It's not the way we potentially wanted it to end. It may not still end. A mistake can happen. Anything happens in Formula 1, as the saying goes, and it usually does. So don't hold your breath just yet, because anything could happen in this Grand Prix. Surprise getting sideways, and with 2 penalties, it is almost destined for it. But that is the battle to watch out for then. Pinecone and Infamous. How much can Pinecone close up to Infamous? Will there be an esports team on the rostrum in the first race of this URC season? There aren't many in this tier in particular, but it could happen here today, and that's going to be a great sight if it does happen as well.
Oh, of course, it's great to see that the esports teams are competing with the leagues in this division. Like I said, there are a few more in the second tier, but it's great to see how well these independent teams are doing in this division.
Goodness me, Pinecone actually hit the wall coming out of turn 2. He went sideways, went up the AstroTurf, skidded that Ferrari, and how he didn't take off his front wing I'll never know. But he literally was scraping the barriers out of turn 2, and that is why he's now 2.4 seconds behind Infamous in P3, who may have just held his own to gain a podium finish.
He may have done, yeah. Not a mistake by the Ferrari driver is really costing him now. Pinecone is fairly consistent. I mean, he has had problems with his wheel over the past couple of months, so I don't know whether that is an issue, maybe a lapse in concentration from the Ferrari man, but that may have cost him a chance to get on the podium. Of course, they do both have penalties. We'll have to wait and see at the end of the Grand Prix how they do, but Sierra now 6 tenths off the back of Miro fighting for P8 and 9, and that Haas is up flying now, James. And he's got a fantastic opportunity coming down towards turn 13 to get past the Renault.
Yeah, the Brazilian really is on the charge, and let's see what Sierra can do against the pole of Miro. And two different nationalities, two different teams, two different drivers in. So let's see what they can do in towards turn 13. He's not going to be close enough yet, is Sierra, but he knows he's almost well, it's going to be easy for him on those super soft tyres. Miro locking his left front wheel. It's so easy to do that with the nature of corner. You're moving the car over to the right, and the car, obviously the left front always locks up with the left hand bend. You're always looking left, the car moves right, and that is naturally what happens as they head down towards turn 1. Sierra isn't quite close enough yet. The Brazilian, though, is going to show a bit of his Brazilian flair, and hips don't lie here, because Sierra's going to get a move done on Miro in the Renault, side by side into turn 3. They're banging wheels into the third corner, and it looks like he's got the move done. The Haas can't quite keep it, though, and Miro does a good job to hold him around the outside there and holds on to his P8 position for now. But that's some brilliant racing between those two. Kept it clean, kept it calm, and overall kept it collected as well.
Great racing for both drivers. I think they're going to be going hammer and tong going into the final three laps here in Australia. And if anything I've seen Sierra over the past couple of weeks, he is a man who will not give up a overtaken opportunity very easily. Down towards turn 12, 11, 12 and 13 to go for the 27th time in this Grand Prix, and he's ever closer this lap. Can he do anything into turn number 3? He's almost glued to the back of that Renault. He's going to have to go around the outside of 13. Can he do it later on the brakes? I think he's managed. Oh, they're both in the wall, and that is both cars still got 4 wheels on their wagon, but both cars into the wall, James, and looks like they're both still going, but that is not what either driver wanted, and that might cost him if Limulus can get his foot down. James, can you hear me? We may have lost James. I'm not 100% what's going on with his mic. Can you guys hear him in the lobby? Can you just confirm? So just I'm not talking over him, but huge incident there between Miro and James has left the party. So I'm not 100% what's going on, but I'm going to stay on board with the fights here in this race as we've still got 2 laps remaining here in Australia. He's back in the party. Luckily, James is back in. I think didn't catch the incident, but Xbox playing tricks on us at the end of this Grand Prix. James, are you back with me? You are not in the lobby. Okay, we're on the final lap now here. Voltage Prize leading by 2.7 seconds. In this race. I think, of course, Joe knows that he has 6 seconds with the penalty. As long as Joe doesn't make a mistake now, he should have the win sealed. Infamous back in P3. Pinecone P4. His teammate could potentially even get him through on this last lap. Both the Ferraris have had a fantastic race so far, but they do both have penalties, and Leopard's going to pop it down the inside of his teammate. I don't know whether team orders are in play, but Leopard goes down the inside fairly easily of the driver of Warpine going 23. Yellow flag in sector number 3 as well. I think that's someone who's letting the top runners pass, but still the Lodge Prize in the lead. James, are you finally back?
Yes, I'm back, and this got mighty close between those 2 Ferraris, but I'd just like to point out that Leopard has a sizable number of penalties, so it wouldn't really matter in the overall grand scheme of things. And he does manage to, well, he will manage to finish there, but crucial though is the man who is going to win this Grand Prix. Veloce surprised he's going to round the final corner first, but he isn't going to finish first on the road, because OMG's Joe in the McLaren is going to take all the plaudits from the first round of this Australian Grand Prix. He's done everything he needed to do. He's not passed him on circuit, but it didn't matter, because OMG's Joe takes round number 1, the Australian Grand Prix, and wins in dramatic style against Veloce Surprise by only 2.1 seconds in the end, but manages it against his near rival and gets one over him as well. Wins the Australian Grand Prix ahead of Surprise. Infamous with a fantastic 3rd place for VSR. He'll be mighty chuffed with that for Haas. It's the 4th and 5th for Ferrari, for Pinecone and for Leopard. Top Tom finishes in 6th and only 700ths of a second off Leopard, so he nearly got him at the end there. Danny finishes 7th for RFL, and that's a brilliant debut for Top Tom, for Danny, for Fury Online Racing, for the RFL League as well. And it's a brilliant start for them. Sarah manages to come home to finish 8th after all of his issues. Zelchi will finish 9th ahead of AJ Gamer and 10th. There's side by side to the line between those two, but finishes 9th and 10th between those two, which does mean only 2 teams failed to score in the. Oh, sorry, 3 teams now failed to score in the opening round of this Australian Grand Prix in this URC season. And Ollie, what a great way to start!
What a fantastic race here, James. It's as Miro. Oh, he did get the fast lap, but he's outside the top 10. Sorry, I didn't miss that. But yeah, no, what a great start of the season. Fantastic overtaking, fantastic racing from all the drivers. Drama as usual here in F1, and I'm very happy to see this race end and for the season to really kick off now, James. Bahrain in the next Grand Prix, and that will I think allow more racing from the drivers, and it's been a great race from the top 3 and the rest of the grids. And James, who is your driver today? We didn't get a chance to pick our own one. I think the drivers in the chat is a plethora of different names, so I think it's best if maybe we pick one.
To be honest, I want to say Joe, but I also really want to say someone like Top Tom or Danny. I feel like one of those 3 really deserve it, because they've had some fantastic moments in this Grand Prix. Joe, managing to hold Surprise for that long is a real achievement for him. He's the only driver in the field actually not to have had a penalty in that Grand Prix, which is quite surprising. But Joe, nonetheless, does win ahead of Surprise and Infamous in 3rd, and Pinecone in 4th, and Leopard in 5th, and Top Tom in 6th, and Danny in 7th, and Sarah in 8th, and Turchi in 9th, and KJ going around out the top 10. But let's put a driver of the day on it. I'm going to say Top Tom in the Williams.
I think I have to agree with you on that, James. Starting P13, finishing P6, a great job from the Williams driver, and going up to P6 is a great job from himself. But it's Ciro who gets that bonus point as well. James getting, so that's 5 points for the Brazilian, so good job from him. I don't know whether we're going to do podium interviews, James, because some drivers are heading off to do the AOR esports event, so I'm not 100% if we're doing them unless you know otherwise.
I don't know anything otherwise, so I would assume that's probably not going to happen. Dare I say?
Oh.
No.
Okay, well, I guess we'll just run off the stream then.
Yeah, well, let's do it in the old-fashioned way then, I suppose. So, well, thank you very much everyone for joining us for round 1. We did hit a number of viewers there for the first round of the season. Of course, you can join us in 2 weeks' time for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Make sure to join us then, same time, same place, hopefully the same commentators as well. But until next time, it's bye-bye for now.